Jeremy Ryan reporting from Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. So today I took a trip to Waukesha County to observe the recount, no, I don't have my badge. I had an observer badge. But what had happened was, a few observations, and this is just being fair. This isn't being partisan. This is just an outsider's opinion. I really think the recount is being done well. From being there, from seeing it, I think that they're being very transparent and dealing with it in a very professional manner. And I do think that there's, at least today, there were people from both sides, and I didn't see anything that would allow me to believe that the recount itself was being tampered with. Now, I do also believe that things were tampered with before the recount, and that's why we have things like open bags. That's why we have things, like bags with holes that you can stick your hand through. That's why we have tags with their actual numbers crossed off, tags that don't match the bags, that kind of thing. But we can't blame that on the recount itself because that stuff all happened before the recount. I think the recount is going well. I think that the people, I think if Kathy Nicholas ran this recount, it would be going horrible. But I think that since she is not running it, and instead deciding, hopefully we figure out the fraud and whatnot. But I think that since she is not running it, that it is going well, and that I didn't see any security breaches. There were clearly laid out rules, and they were pretty extensive on the wall, and everyone seemed to take it very seriously, and that was a good thing. Now, as far as pre-recount, I do believe that there was election fraud. That's my opinion, but I do stand by that. That'll have to be worked out through the courts. But we need to be sure to give Kloppenberg some money so that she has the ability to challenge that, because it's not common for bags to be thrown. Bags don't get thrown out during a recount. That's not the problem of the recount people. That's something that she needs to be able to challenge in court, and in order to do that, she needs some money. Now, with that, I did get an ADA violation today. The video you're about to see shows quite extensively my conversation, bits and pieces of my conversation. It was pretty long with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, where they won't let me in because I use a Segway as a mobility device. They changed their tune. They were friendly afterwards, but this is still an ADA violation, and it's absolutely despicable that these police don't know the Americans with Disabilities Act. Jeremy Ryan from Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. Just watch and let me know what you think.
Until like a month ago.
Jeremy Ryan reporting from Defending Wisconsin Political Action Committee, www.defendingwisconsin.org. We are now going into the Waukesha County Courthouse, where we will be observing the recount. Good. All right, sounds good. Thank you. Hello. And I do have a cardiac implant as well.
Okay.
I'll just park back there.
I'm not. You're expecting to take that down there with you?
Yeah, it's a mobility device.
Stay here.
All right. This could be interesting.
We have a captain that's going to come down and address the situation, so we'll just kind of wait till he comes down.
All right. Well, that's technically illegal, though, because it's putting undue hardship on a citizen due to his mobility device and disability.
Right, and you can address that then with the captain when he comes down here.
Couldn't the captain address it with me in the room that I'm going to?
No, we'll just wait till he comes down.
Just so you're in compliance with the law?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and he can address the law when he comes down here for you guys then.
Okay, this is the captain. Yes. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
Hello. All right.
Good. How's it going?
Are you the captain?
Good. You? Oh, can't complain.
I am a little bit upset that I had to wait 10 minutes just for you to...
Okay, you can't take this in.
It's my mobility
You can't
device.
take it.
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay.
Americans.
It's not a wheelchair, it's a Segway.
I use,
Right here?
no, it's illegal to park a Segway here. Here's my attorney, Jim.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay.
That is listed as the proper vehicle under the ADA,
Okay.
and he's used it, he's had it into the governor's conference room.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, if you are gonna mess around with that video camera, why don't we get the whole story? I want you to videotape what's right next to me.
Yes.
Could you tell the audience what that is?
That's a wheelchair. They offered me a wheelchair, which is illegal by the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd appreciate if you calm down your attitude and don't have such snarky and mean tone with me.
Get through there. We can,
People with
he's got a wheelchair.
disabilities can use whatever is their best form.
Yeah, I understand you're only interested in being the observing area, you're not
Correct.
working for one of the campaigns.
Correct. That is correct.
Yes.
And that's an area that doesn't seem to be too crowded, and he has very good mobility with this as far as not getting in the way of people or bumping into them. And like I say, he's
To
had
put him in
he's had
a
it in the
wheelchair would
governor's
require the
conference
use of
room, and
another
it's been
person now.
acceptable there. So
We don't have access to a bomb dog, so we're not able to search this properly to make sure that it doesn't have any kind of device. Because with metal, it can't go through our metal detector, we don't have the technology. What we can make available to him is a wheelchair. I'm sure he can, I'm assuming that a wheelchair will suffice.
No, it will not, because this is about my rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and whether you have a bomb dog or not. The Capitol doesn't have access to a bomb dog either. And they've never even considered bringing
Well, I
one.
can't speak for the Capitol because I don't work there.
Okay, well, it's kind of
I can
strange
speak
how
for-
Waukesha County is more restrictive than the Capitol.
You are. What you just said was
No, he's
inflammatory. You be quiet.
documenting.
What you just said was inflammatory. Trying to be cooperative, we're
No,
giving
you're
you
not. You're not-
options.
you're not allowing my
We're
rights.
giving you options.
You're not allowing my rights as a citizen. You're not giving me options.
You can have free access to this. My concern, our concern, is the security of the building. This, we can't search properly. I don't have experience with a Segway. I don't have experience with searching a Segway. What I can make available to you is a wheelchair. We can give you free access to the area. Happy to do that. I asked your associate here if he was with you. You can
The
move
problem-
throughout the building wherever it's open today.
And if you have a problem with that, you should adjust it with the Department of Justice, because what you're doing right now is illegal.
No.
Yes,
sir,
it is.
You can address that with the Department of Justice. Today, my job is to make sure that the building stays secure. And that.
And my job-
And that the count that goes on isn't disrupted, that there isn't a security issue, that the people in there are safe, that there is appropriate.
You can easily search
Environment.
this machine. You can easily search it. Look, you can stick your hands in the bag. You can feel free to do whatever you want. Here, I'll even take this hubcap off for you, so you can see that there's nothing underneath there. There's no other removable parts. Actually, I could take the floor mats off as well. There's the hubcap. See, nothing there, nothing there.
I think
Yeah.
we all know that in this era, if it was that easy, then the airports wouldn't be as secure as they are, and they wouldn't have giant machines that search every.
And this is allowed on an airplane without a bomb-sniffing dog as well.
After it goes through security. We don't.
And
have
I
the
went through
technology-
security.
We don't have the technology the airports do.
this is his device, and this is what he uses.
So, being in a wheelchair is not reasonable.
No, it's not,
It's
as
not.
far as he's concerned, it's his preference, and under the ADA, I believe he will have a right to use that machine, so, yes.
Very concerned with the wheelchair since I had knee surgery not too long ago. And if my knees are bent for too long, it really does hurt.
They extend.
They extend. Is that very comfortable? Give me a break. Is that very comfortable? I mean, you're sitting here violating my civil rights and expect me to be okay with it. Yes, you are. Don't even lie. Yes, you are. Read the ADA. I ask that you go back to your office. I'll stand here. I ask that you go back to your office, read the Americans with Disabilities Act under Segway. It says, read it. It specifically says Segways. It specifically says. And if you fail to do that and this ends up escalating, then it's going to be noted that I told you to go read it because it specifically said. You may not know the law, which is kind of sickening because you're a police officer, but I do.
Sir, what's your first name?
My first name is Jeremy.
Jeremy, okay. Jeremy, I ran into you at the Capitol, when I was doing the Capitol security. I was with Keith Mecca, okay, and you put this in front of the news, CBS News, asking Keith Mecca to report this, that you couldn't get inside the Capitol.
It wasn't this, though.
He gave, yeah.
It was because there was no accessible entrance. That's a whole different issue.
So that was an issue then, you're trying to make an issue then, you're trying to make an issue now. We're giving you viable options.
That's not a viable option, by the way.
You're more than welcome to go in there and watch the recount. We'll take you in there in the wheelchair. We'll bring you up so you can extend your legs because of your knee problems. We'll accommodate that. The captain's telling you can't take the Segway in there.
But that's not a viable option. And by the way, I do want to note that this gentleman just lied. He said that I made this same issue. I made a different issue at the Capitol. The issue was that I was being ran around to every single entrance and none of them were accessible. It wasn't due to the Segway. I've been allowed to have the Segway in the Capitol since the dawn of me having the Segway. And so I find it insulting that you guys don't know the Americans with Disabilities Act, for one.
We're not going to
What's
debate
your name
you.
again?
My name is Jeremy.
What's your last name?
I don't really, there's no need to provide my last name at this point. It's the concern with when you search people with a magnetometer as well. There's still there's always that potential. And I would expect that you would understand that as a law enforcement officer. And I would expect that you would also go and look at what I'm telling you, because what you are saying is illegal, and I'm giving you the ability to have that proven. And I will be very compliant, and I will stay here until you go look at the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's what I'm asking you to do, because you have to realize if this ends up going to court, they're going to say, oh, he told you to look at the Americans with Disabilities Act and you didn't. And then you'll just look ignorant. And I don't want that to happen. I'd rather you actually look at it and come up with something legitimate for me, because you haven't yet. Then,
Your opinion.
no, it's fact. But yes, it is fact, because you haven't even looked at the ADA and you don't know what it says about Segways. Period. So, now, will you please go review the ADA? I'll stand here with one of your officers.
No, I'm not going to do that now.
You're not going to do that now. Okay. Could you go review the ADA?
No.
Okay. Officer over there, could you go review the ADA? Your colleagues are refusing to review the ADA, so they don't know what they're talking about.
Saying that this is not the time.
You just said, no, I will not. That's a refusal. They are refusing to review the ADA. I'm tired of disability harassment. That's what it is.
If someone comes in on their own wheelchair, how do you handle that? You come through and you search their.
I can't speak for
their wheelchair. You look at their wheelchair.
I can't speak for what the specifics of the rescue is. I can't speak for the specifics.
This officer has already said they do not have to transfer over to one of these wheelchairs. If somebody comes with a wheelchair, they are allowed to use their own mobility device that they brought. So it's the difference between the wheelchair and the Segway that apparently is causing the problem.
Segway is mentioned in the ADA, so there's not a basis for this. So if you can allow wheelchairs in here and adequately review the wheelchairs and make sure that they're not bringing in any illegal devices.
What do you do with wheelchairs?
Then you can, I wouldn't think Waukesha County with all the controversy that's going on. You're trying to avoid controversy, but you don't want to create more controversy. I mean, if Jeremy goes in there and creates a disturbance, then you have the right to remove him. He's not going to do that. He's there to film what's going on in this particular recount. So.
In the town of Middleton?
On one side of the aisle, you have disabilities rights. On the other side of the aisle, you have people trying to kill them. And you're trying to kill my disabilities rights in this building. That's not inflammatory.
I have absolutely no position on disability rights.
Well,
None.
obviously you do, because you won't allow someone with their mobility device who's died 5 times to come through your courtroom.
Jeremy,
And then you know what it feels like to be currently
Jeremy,
do you know what
I'm
it feels
not
like to be
gonna-
constantly chastised and harassed because of your mobility device? No, you don't. I'd like you to put yourself in my position for a minute.
Yeah.
Jeremy, here's what we're going to do. You're going to go ahead and go on in there. The second you make an inflammatory comment to anybody who's participating in this, you're gone.
All right. It's fine.
I would suggest that you grow just a little more before you take on these issues. And
We are in the recount room in Waukesha County. As you can see, observers need to be behind the blue tape, which is reasonable accommodation. They are now over there sealing Ward 23's ballots. And so they're doing sealing the ballots that have already been counted for Ward 23.
There you go.
lunchtime.